Don't be a bitch to your teenager's potential employer. A few years ago I worked as a sales manager for 3 stores. I had approximately 50 sales team members over the 3 stores, and I did everything from interviewing, hiring, inducting, training, rostering, etc. One time we were hiring juniors for after-school shifts. The franchisee arranged some interviews that he had arranged online, and I scheduled those that were walk-ins. Interviews were scheduled in 15-minute intervals, but we had both scheduled a 4 p.m. interview. No biggie. At some time between 3:55 p.m. and 4 p.m., the supervisor interrupts me just before an interview ended. She's got this weird look on her face. "Oh, there's a lady here. She wants to talk to you, now, because her daughter has an interview at 4". I finish the interview and go out the front to find Mumzilla, one hand on her hip and the other holding her phone adjacent to her ear, glaring at me. "Hi, how can I help you?" I ask, kinda curiously. "Hi. My daughter has an interview at 4 p.m., still a few minutes away, scheduled by the franchisee. We've been here since 3:30, and now we find out there's another girl here. What is going on?" I explained that yes, the boss and I had overlapped at 4 p.m, I was aware, and that it wasn't a big deal. Her tone changed immediately. "Oh, okay. Well, should I send my daughter over? Whoever was here first." "Well, we've been here since 3:30. She snaps. "Well then, send her in." When she came for the interview, I made sure I circled her name. Everyone else who attended got a tick, those who didn't show got a X. This girl had her name circled so I would not forget. She interviewed really well, but truth be told she'd already failed. I couldn't risk having her mother hovering throughout her employment. At the end, I said, "If you're a successful applicant I will contact you Monday evening. I won't be contacting unsuccessful applicants, because there's too many candidates." I told my franchisee about the situation. At about 9:15 p.m. Monday the franchisee forwards me an email, stating simply, "Is this the girl with the mom?" The original email is from the girl's account. "Dear Mr. Unknown, due to management error I was not on the list of interviews. I did eventually receive an interview, and I was assured I would be informed this afternoon whether I jabbed the position or not. It is now 7:58 p.m. and I have not heard from your company. Is this because I did not get the job? Or because once again I have been neglected?" I told the franchisee that wasn't forgotten or neglected, so we drafted a reply on his behalf. "Dear Unknown, I can assure you that you were on the list of interviewees, as I finalized the list. The manager informed you she would be contracting successful candidates only. Unfortunately your mother were unsuccessful during this recruitment process. Best wishes for future endeavors." The boss and I agreed that it sounded like the mom wrote the email. And that I had dodged a bullet. Edited, this was a highly affluent suburb. Full of entitlement. Second story. What grade are you in? I'm the teacher, so, I'm 23F at the time, not a very tall person, 5 feet 3 inches, but I'm very curvy and have not ever had the issue of being mistaken as a child before. But, I do have a baby face and get some to be younger than older. This happened a couple of years back. I was taking a break between undergrad and grad school, and had decided to teach for a year abroad. I'd taught for a year in the States already, so when I got an opportunity to go abroad and continue teaching I jumped at the chance. I decided to stay with my aunt and uncles for the summer between graduation and flying to Spain. My uncle worked part-time as a substitute school supervisor for the local district, so most of the kids in the neighborhood early recognized him. One day, when he wasn't on call, we took a trip to the community pool because it gets hot AF in my hometown, 115 degrees Fahrenheit per 45 degrees Celsius, and the AC just wasn't cutting it. We're treading water in the deep end, 5, so, my uncle can stand with his head above water. Me, less so. I'm treading water but basically you can only see me from the chin up. A family enters the pool and the kids all jump right in the pool. One of the kids, 12 Aisha YOM, recognizes my uncle and comes over to join us. He says hi, introduces me as his niece and we start making small talk. Is he enjoying his summer? What grade is he starting? Which middle school is he going to? Etc. etc. Well, I've apparently piqued this kid's interest and he starts boasting about staying middle school, years 6 to 8 here, and he's already got friends in the 7th grade and he's gonna do soccer etc. etc. I smile and nod and give the standard "yeah dude that's super cool," to keep the conversation going. My uncle tries to redirect the conversation to put focus on him, cause, I'm not trying to get hit on by a kid's not taking the bait though. He hits me with his smoothest, "So, what grade are you starting?" My uncle loses it. He manages to stop laughing long enough to go, "Yeah OP. What grade are you starting?" Me, "I'm actually a teacher." The kid immediately turns red as a tomato. My uncle is laughing even harder now, kid, mortified, "What grade do you teach?" Me, "Preschool." He gave the biggest sigh of relief, and my uncle again starts laughing again. The rest of the summer my uncle would razz me about what grade are you starting until I was getting on the plane to my new job in Spain. "Sorry kiddo, I won't get to hang with your cool 7th grade friends. I do work here." Cringe. Third story. She wanted to file a complaint with the manager about me. The manager, I worked as a 911 operator for 7 years, during which time I was promoted to shift lead, which is essentially the assistant manager for that shift. During the shift manager's 2 days off, I was the highest ranking member of our department because we worked swing shift and admin was already gone for the day. We were super busy one night and the phones were ringing constantly. I answered a 911 call and spoke to the caller long enough to determine that nobody was dying, bleeding, or on fire before I put him on hold to answer another line. The second call turned out to be a drunk suicidal man with a gun at a family gathering, which took me about 15 minutes to handle until the police and EMS showed up. In the meantime there was no one available to pick up my hold. I finally get back on the other line and the caller is incensed that I would put him on hold after he called 911. I tried to explain that we had to prioritize calls by level of emergency, but he was not having any of it. I come to find out that he called 911 because a man in a freezer truck was going door to door in his neighborhood selling groceries, during our state's COVID lockdown, mind you, and dared to ring his doorbell. I admit, I lost my patience. I told him very bluntly that this in no way resembled an emergency and that we would not be sending police because the man in question was not violating any law. This pissed off my caller even more, and he demanded my name and badge number, which I dutifully gave. We are required to. And then he hung up on me. Not 5 minutes later one of my probies, whom I had actually trained, LOL, stands up from his console and says, "Hey, my name, I have a caller on the line who wants to complain about a dispatcher." When I asked which dispatcher, my probie hesitates, and then says, you." So I pick up his line and sure enough, it's my crazy caller. I greet him by saying, "Hi, this is officer, my name, I am the dispatch manager. How can I help you?" I had to keep from laughing when he started cursing at me and then hung up. Found out later he emailed the chief about my unprofessional behavior. Chief listened to the call recordings, then emailed him back to very politely call him an idiot. Fourth story. Applicant has to wait 10 minutes and unloads on what he thinks is a low-life underling. No, just the hiring manager, caveat, on mobile, non-English, caffeine deprived. Too early for alcohol, is it ever though? Couple of years ago, I.F. was a manager in a large business. We were expanding and therefore hiring. My assistant set up the interviews. Unfortunately, there was a mix-up in the time schedules and the reception had to tell the next interviewee to be so kind to wait until we were ready to welcome him. Because of the tight schedule, my assistant would get some coffee and I would pick up the applicant myself. When I arrived in the reception area, less than 10 minutes late, I introduced myself, apologized for the misunderstanding and asked the guy to please follow me to the conference room. On the way there, he was fuming that we kept him waiting and that he was too important for wasting his time. I couldn't get in a word. He was very angry. When the interview began, the realization set in that I was in fact the hiring manager. And not the low-life secretary or underling, not that that would have been acceptable. It was quite a short interview. All I had to do was ask him how he thought he would handle unexpected situations and how I could count on him acting as a professional if I were to let him represent the company to clients. He mumbled, looked very deflated and ultimately said that perhaps he should be going. I did not stop him. The rest of the interviews that day could run perfectly on schedule. Problem solved.